This chilling clip was posted to TikTok by a user known as 403sphere. On this particular night, her daughter had gone to stay at her father's place, leaving the woman entirely by herself at home. Then, just past midnight, she suddenly heard what sounded exactly like her daughter's voice coming from just beyond her locked bedroom door. The voice called out, "Mum, why is the door locked?" It had a distressed quality to it, almost on the verge of tears. The problem was, her daughter was nowhere close to that house. Too scared to even consider turning the lock, the woman stayed put and started filming.
Mom, it's me. Mom, why is the door locked?
There, on the other side of the door, a tall humanoid silhouette can be seen lurking in the darkness. The shadowy shape slowly rotates and raises its arms, as if whatever had mimicked the daughter's voice was still lingering just outside, patiently waiting for the terrified mother to let it in.
It's me. Mom, why is the door locked?
Maybe the figure was nothing more than a warped shadow or a trick of reflected light, and the recognizable voice had drifted in from somewhere else in the house. But if her daughter was tucked in for the night at her father's, then what exactly was standing on the other side of that door, and how did it know precisely what her daughter's voice sounded like? A woman was home by herself when she started picking up on strange sounds drifting in from her living room. Scared, she pulled out her phone and began capturing everything on video. But the closer she got to whatever was making the noise, the more unsettling things became.
I'm home by myself. No, I don't think so. Tula, what was that?
Once she steps into the living room, she discovers the sound is coming from an old music box that has seemingly switched on by itself. While she's trying to make sense of the situation, a voice can clearly be heard announcing that it is present. Then, just like that, the music cuts out entirely. Baffled by what she's just experienced, she attempts to work out where exactly that voice originated. But there's one particular detail that takes the footage to another level of creepy. Her dog, perched on the staircase, also appears to sense that something is off, staying completely rigid and locked onto the exact same spot as everything plays out. Perhaps the most chilling element of all is that, according to this woman, that music box had never once played in her presence before, and there was simply no way it could have wound itself up, since it runs entirely on a mechanical mechanism. A young woman out for a late-night stroll with her dog had no idea she was about to become part of something deeply unsettling. Everything looks perfectly normal at first. The street is quiet, the atmosphere undisturbed. Then, without warning, her dog starts acting strangely, locking its gaze on the tree line running alongside the road. The woman keeps moving, completely oblivious to whatever shouldn't be standing there. Take a good look at what the camera picked up.
Come on, Bruce. What's up? Come on. Come on. Oi. Come on. Bruce. Come on.
You can clearly see the dog fixated on those trees, its body language suggesting it has detected something lurking between the trunks. The woman, on the other hand, never once glances in that direction. She just keeps walking, totally unaware. Whatever is standing there never registers to the human eye on the scene, only the camera catches it. And that's exactly what has so many viewers unsettled. Was this a genuine supernatural presence, or is there a more rational explanation for the mysterious shape hidden among those trees? Jack is an explorer who travels across Great Britain, seeking out haunted locations and collecting cursed objects. Ever since he brought home a particular painting one depicting a scene from 1940s Wigan, allegedly completed by an artist who later took his own life, he says something has shifted inside his house. Even so, despite the unsettling occurrences, Jack refuses to part with it, treating it as one of the crown jewels of his collection. Then one afternoon, while he was dozing on the sofa, something disturbing jolted him awake.
Just fell asleep on the couch and the bathroom door is repeatedly banging. Stop! What was that? What the fuck? What the fuck? Alexa, stop! Stop! I do know what is going on in here today, but there's some kind of an atmosphere as well. What the hell is that? Did you see?
The bathroom door began violently swinging open and closed on its own, and even commanding Alexa to stop did nothing to explain it. The strangeness only escalates from there. A child briefly materializes before vanishing without a trace, and his cats begin fixating on bare walls as though they can sense a presence no one else can see. Jack's conclusion is simple. As long as that painting stays in his home, the activity isn't going to stop. But is the painting itself truly the source of whatever is haunting him? Or has something far more sinister moved in alongside it? That's a question only you can answer. A man found himself alone at home one quiet afternoon when something deeply unsettling occurred out of nowhere.
I was just in here working out and thought I heard my name being called twice. It sounded like it was coming from the basement stairs or the kitchen. Now, I am home alone. My wife won't be home until late tonight. It's just me and the dog. And
with no warning whatsoever, he heard a voice call out his name, and then it happened a second time. The truly disturbing part? There was no one else in that house.
we're on edge ever since whatever voice I caught the other night from the basement stairs. Like, I thought maybe it was outside. I looked outside, didn't see anything, and it didn't sound like it was distant, like outside. It sounded like it was coming from inside my house.
Shaken and increasingly on edge, he started moving through the rooms, checking the living area and dining space in an attempt to track down where the voice was coming from. But every corner he checked turned up nothing. Then,
I have no explanation. It's really getting bad. It's getting... It feels like the activity has been ramping up lately, and I open up the cemetery Monday morning, so I am kind of nervous.
right as he was speaking directly to the camera, things got even weirder. Barely audible voices drifted in from somewhere in the background, almost like a second conversation was happening just out of sight.
What the fuck was that? I just heard something in my ear, like I felt the breath on my ear. Holy shit. I'm hoping when I go open the cemetery up Monday, whatever this thing is, we'll just go back there and just leave me the hell alone. Because this is
Far too much to handle. And then, just when he thought he might be getting a grip on the situation, that mysterious voice rang out once more. At that point, he was completely gripped by fear. With no rational explanation for any of it, he abandoned his search and retreated back to bed. What's your take on this one? On April 23rd, 2024, a Reddit user uploaded a strange and hard-to-explain clip documenting something deeply out of the ordinary. It was an otherwise peaceful morning at around 7:49 a.m. when the person who posted it heard an odd sound coming from the TV room, prompting them to go check it out, feeling both confused and uneasy. Here's what their camera recorded. At first glance, everything looked completely fine, but without warning, a mysterious flash of light swept through the room, and in that brief moment, a strange figure became visible, an entity that simply hadn't existed in the frame under normal lighting conditions just seconds earlier. The man searched the space thoroughly, but found absolutely nothing out of place. Then the light pulsed again, and the figure showed up once more, even though the man himself remained completely unaware of its presence. When he went back to review the footage, he noticed the figure bore a rough resemblance to a human silhouette. What made it so unsettling was that it only ever materialized under that particular kind of light. Skeptics were quick to write it off as lens flare or some kind of optical artifact, but the way that intense light interacted with the walls and surrounding objects looked entirely natural. Some who watched it recognized it as a textbook apparition, one only detectable under very specific lighting conditions, yet even now, nobody has been able to definitively explain what that figure actually was. Next up, a man by the name of Javier was making his way into a hospital somewhere in Argentina when he heard a knocking sound behind him. He spun around expecting to find someone there, but the area was completely empty. That's when his attention shifted to something deeply unsettling happening inside his parked car. See for yourself what was captured.
Estamos en este momento en el microhospital, escuchamos un golpe y nos dimos vuelta porque dijimos, bueno, ¿quién está entrando? Cuestión de que no hay nadie atrás nuestro. Y miramos dentro del auto y dijimos, oh, pues si el auto... ¿Qué mierda es? Lo peor de todo es que no queremos salir. O sea, no, un miedo, la puta madre. Lo peor de todo es que se mueve adentro el auto y no hay nadie. O sea, ahora vamos a ir a controlar el auto. Pero parece como si fuese un reflejo. La puta madre. Uf. No, huevo. A ver. Ya, salimos rápido para que vean que no es mentira. Mamá, la piel de gallina, hermano. Piel de gallina. Cagazo. Nadie. Nadie. Un montón. Es un montón. Mierda. Y encima nos mira, la puta que te parió. No, chabón. No.
A pale, ghostly grey face appears to be visible in the driver's seat, shifting around as Javier stands there, watching in disbelief. When he finally works up the nerve to go check, he throws open the doors and finds absolutely no one inside, and there's no one anywhere in the surrounding area either. Some viewers suggested it might be a reflection caused by the angle of the windshield, perhaps from something above, but looking at the footage, all you can see is the ceiling, which does nothing to account for the face moving around in that seat. Could the fact that this is a hospital, late at night, have anything to do with what's going on here? I'll leave that one up to you. A creator known as La Familia Sanchez isn't exactly known for posting anything out of the ordinary. Their channel is mostly filled with heartwarming family content, but a video they uploaded on May 25th, 2026 stopped us in our tracks. We're not saying this is some kind of supernatural encounter, but it is one seriously strange glitch in the Matrix.
As soon as I step out, watch, look. Right there. Boom.
They came out of nowhere.
They just appeared.
The family is heading out the front door and stepping onto their porch when a pair of eyeglasses suddenly materializes on the ground from absolutely nothing. What makes this so compelling is that even the skeptics can't easily brush it off as a camera artifact. You can watch the family walk across that very same empty patch of ground just seconds before those glasses simply blink into existence. So what exactly are we looking at here? Did a physical object just pop into our reality out of thin air? Or is there some perfectly rational explanation hiding behind this deeply strange visual moment? Videos you're about to see all come from the TikTok account shown on screen right now. The man behind the account is from Ohio and puts in his shifts at a local warehouse. Most of what he posts is pretty easygoing and fun, but a handful of his more recent clips have been making his followers genuinely uncomfortable. He claims that after the warehouse closes for the night, something unusual has been going on inside, and he thinks he may have actually caught it on video. It started when he was shooting what was supposed to be a completely ordinary clip for his page, and that's when something in the background caught his eye. The door directly behind him slowly swings open, then eases shut again, all by itself. What really shook him was knowing that nobody else should have been anywhere near that part of the building. He jumped up immediately and went to investigate, but the area was completely empty. And over the days that followed, things began escalating. Tools were turning up in spots where nobody had left them. Motion detectors were going off in sections of the warehouse with nobody inside. Doors that had been locked up the night before were found wide open come morning. He eventually brought it to his boss, figuring there had to be a straightforward answer. His boss pulled up the security footage, expecting to put the whole thing to rest. But what they found only deepened the mystery.
No, I ain't seen this. Oh my God. Y'all, this shit is wild. It happened right in here. That is crazy. Y'all see that on camera? Rewind the camera back. That's crazy. I gotta be in here one day when it's dark so I can catch that.
The camera footage appears to show some kind of shadowy figure drifting across the warehouse floor. Some of his followers have theorized it could be the ghost of a past employee, someone who spent so much time within those walls that they never quite moved on. But the story doesn't stop there. He recently posted yet another video, this time claiming he was the only person on the floor when he heard water suddenly running inside the women's restroom. He went to investigate, and here's the footage he recorded.
I had to do another video. Shit been wicked. The girls' bathroom, the water just be popping on. As you see, I'm in here by myself. Nobody's in here with me. I'm in here by myself. This is no game. This is no game. It's no f***ing game. I'm f***ing with the wrong thing, bro. I'm about to cut this shit off. As soon as I cut it off, watch. Nobody in here. Nobody in here. About to cut this shit off. Cut it off. I'm about to walk out. They're gonna be running again. I promise you I'm not playing, bro. Watch. I'm dead serious. Like, I'm not playing. Like, I'm about to shut the door right now. That.
A big portion of his audience is now fully convinced the warehouse is haunted. Others are pushing back with more rational explanations, pointing to things like aging pipes, shifting air pressure, or electrical malfunctions as possible causes. But even if the plumbing has a perfectly reasonable explanation, it still doesn't account for that figure on the security camera or those objects relocating on their own. So where do you stand on this one? Is something paranormal going on in that warehouse? Or does every strange occurrence have a logical answer waiting to be found? Drop your thoughts in the comments. The security cameras set up outside her grandmother's house. La Traitor Caesar knew something was off when she received a motion notification at 2 a.m. She pulled up the footage immediately, and what had triggered the camera stopped her cold. In just a matter of frames, a dark, shadowy figure appears to emerge from the house and slowly drifts off to the right. Whatever was recorded doesn't quite resemble a person, nor does it look like an ordinary shadow. This humanoid shape was almost entirely swallowed up by the surrounding darkness. Understandably, La Traitor was terrified that her camera may have picked up something from beyond the natural world. And if it hadn't, then an equally unsettling question hangs in the air. Who on earth would be lurking outside her grandmother's home in the dead of night? He was convinced he'd finally stumbled onto the perfect place to live. Quiet streets, a reasonable price, a calm and welcoming neighborhood, everything on his checklist. Late one evening, while recording footage near the hallway, a harsh scraping sound tore through the silence of the apartment. He crept toward the source, and what unfolded in those next few seconds, see for yourself. The door dragged itself open on its own, grinding to a halt just inches from where he was standing. Overcome with panic, he bolted straight out of the building without a second thought. Once he hit the street, he turned back and looked up toward his window and went completely still. A shadowy figure was standing there, unmoving, peering down at him through the glass. Several hours passed before he worked up the nerve to go back, having nowhere else to turn, but something in his gut told him the truth. Whatever was living inside that apartment had no intention of sharing it with him, and it certainly wasn't going anywhere. Cases don't start with a bang, they start with someone walking away. Footage from security cameras outside a Dallas convenience store showed a man moving through the area on a routine summer night. He had on a white shirt and dark shorts, with what appeared to be a face covering pushed up on top of his head. He wasn't in a hurry. He wasn't visibly carrying anything. Within moments, he moved out of frame. At that point, nothing about those few seconds suggested detectives would end up watching them on repeat, because the critical detail wasn't that he showed up, it was that he came back. On the night of June 9, 2026, Myron Henry was outside the Bruton Road Food, Beer and Wine Mart in Pleasant Grove. Investigators say he was simply hanging around near the entrance, keeping to himself while shoppers moved in and out of the strip. For about 20 minutes, everything looked completely normal. Then a separate camera picked up a Jeep Grand Cherokee turning into a nearby alley. It came to a stop just beyond the sightline of the main cameras. 3 individuals stepped out this time. All of them had masks on. According to Dallas police, 2 of them immediately charged toward another group of people, armed with rifles. Investigators say they opened fire in that direction, sending bystanders scattering in every direction. One person was hit and ultimately survived. The sound of gunfire tore through the shopping center, and everyone nearby did the only thing that made sense: they ran. Myron Henry ran too. Investigators believe he had no intention of confronting anyone or figuring out what was going on. Just like everyone around him, he was purely trying to put distance between himself and the danger. Instead, he ran straight into it. According to detectives, as Henry came around the back of the building, he came face to face with the 3rd masked individual. Police believe this was the very same man who had been casually strolling through the area roughly 20 minutes before returning alongside the other suspects. What followed took only seconds. Investigators say Henry was shot after crossing paths with that suspect. He went down between 2 parked cars as all 3 men rushed back toward the waiting Jeep. Detectives say more rounds were fired as they fled before the vehicle vanished from the area. When officers went through the surveillance footage, one thing jumped out immediately. The 3rd suspect hadn't been masked the entire time. Earlier that evening, the cameras had caught his face clearly enough that detectives believe someone out there may know exactly who he is. Take a listen. That seemingly unremarkable stroll through the parking lot earlier in the night has since become one of the most significant pieces of evidence in the whole investigation. Police do not believe Myron Henry was the intended target, rather. Investigators say he appears to have been an innocent bystander, swept up in something that was already in motion around him. That distinction has driven the direction of the case ever since. Detectives are still working to establish why the suspects came to that shopping center in the first place, and who they were actually there for. Those questions remain unanswered. What the cameras did preserve, though, is a sequence of events that investigators believe holds the key to cracking this case. A man takes a quiet walk through a strip mall. 20 minutes later, he's back this time with a mask on, and everything that follows changes completely. Sometimes the single detail that looks the most ordinary ends up being exactly what investigators needed all along. A Frenchman named Mason had never shown any interest in paranormal investigation until one discovery turned everything upside down. He had recently acquired a house that a family had abandoned in a rush years earlier, leaving so much of their stuff behind that it looked like they'd fled overnight. Mason's original plan was simply to flip the property and move on, but the house had other ideas. Things started shifting on their own, and dark, shadowy figures began showing up in his footage. Determined to get to the bottom of it, he installed cameras throughout the entire property to run around the clock. What he says he caught next is the very thing he believes sent that family running in the first place. Keep your eyes on the attic entrance, because a figure can clearly be seen dropping down into the hallway below. And this is no ordinary figure. Its eyes burn with a bright glow in the darkness, and its face looks grotesquely warped. The way it moves defies anything natural, and just before the clip cuts out, the entity glides effortlessly back up through the attic opening, as if gravity means nothing to it. Mason says that since this moment was recorded, whatever is inside that house has only grown bolder. A real estate agent who also runs a TikTok page showcasing properties for sale may have unknowingly recorded something deeply unsettling during one of his walkthroughs. He was filming a newly listed home, moving through its various rooms and highlighting its features the way he normally does. Then, without any warning, something absolutely chilling showed up in the footage. See for yourself.
Amplia cocina. Amplia cocina. Dormitorio 1.
The moment he steps into the kitchen, a small, dark, semi-transparent shape suddenly darts across the frame before disappearing almost immediately. The agent had no idea anything was off at the time and posted the video to his account as he would any other. But shortly after it went live, his inbox was flooded with messages from followers alerting him to the strange shape visible in the clip. Shaken and visibly unsettled, he went back and watched the footage himself, and he maintained that no one else had been present in that house with him at that point. The figure only appears for the briefest of moments, yet a huge number of viewers feel it moves in a way that no ordinary person could. So here's the question. Did this real estate agent unknowingly catch something supernatural on film inside that property? Or could there be a more rational explanation for whatever that was? On October 4th, 2025, a user going by Miss DN Adams posted security footage showing something she couldn't explain happening right outside her front door. It's 9:44 p.m., and Miss DN Adams describes how her son was on his way back home after spending time at a friend's place that evening, right as he was approaching the house. Miss DN Adams got a motion alert ping on her phone from one of her outdoor cameras, and what she found waiting for her in that footage simply doesn't add up. The infrared camera picks up a dark silhouette cutting across the yard, and viewers have been quick to note just how defined that shape is, and the speed at which it moves. Then a second camera angle comes into view, showing her son strolling up to the house, completely oblivious to whatever appears to be trailing right behind him. Here's where things get truly unsettling, though that second camera, which was pointed at the same area, recorded absolutely nothing. The dark shape only showed up on the night vision infrared feed. On top of that, Misty flags a bizarre sound that happens at the exact moment the object passes through the frame. She's gone back through the footage again and again, and still has no rational explanation, and the fact that only one camera detected it has both Misty and her viewers convinced they might be looking at something from beyond the physical world. In his bedroom, a young man had securely mounted a long wooden plank directly onto the wall. To make sure there was no room for doubt, he clarifies that it was fastened with screws at the top, that the window was shut and that the door was shut too. There was absolutely no way a draft could have played any role in what happened.
This one's getting about like 237 or like 255. So it's definitely a little bit low. And of course we have a new issue with this one.
And yet, in the dead of night, the board appears to rise entirely on its own. It slowly peels away from the wall, as though something unseen were pulling at it, hovering there for a brief moment before finally crashing down. And this wasn't a one-time occurrence. The young man reports that the exact same thing has taken place multiple times, and that with each instance the event seems to escalate in intensity. To this day, he remains completely at a loss for what could explain something so undeniable. A man posted this footage to YouTube after being woken up late one night by his dog barking relentlessly, something completely out of the ordinary for the animal. On top of that, he could hear strange noises coming from just outside his home. The following morning, he pulled up his security camera recordings to figure out what had gone on, and what he found left him genuinely shaken. See for yourself. The dogs continued their frantic, non-stop barking, and then without warning, a dark, partially transparent shape darted across the frame. The man behind the video says he has absolutely no explanation for what that thing was, and as far as he's concerned, what showed up on that footage was an actual ghost. So what do you make of it? Top 5 viewer Christopher Duncan reached out to us with some unsettling security footage recorded at a small rural church down in Mississippi. The camera in question was keeping an eye on the playroom used by the church's youth group when something completely inexplicable decided to show up on tape.
Watch, John. Are you watching this thing? It's not moving. No way. Oh, no. Watch. Watch, John. Watch.
That hurts so bad.
Nobody listens to me. There's ghosts in here. Nobody listens to me.
Watch it.
It's about to go crazy and break. It's still moving! It's still moving, y'all! It's still moving! It's still moving!
If it floats in the air and goes for the child, no free.
A pool cue lying on the playroom floor begins to shift, tremble, and shake all by itself, before suddenly snapping clean in two. Chris tells us that the children in the room were so caught up in the noise and chaos of playtime that not a single one of them noticed what was happening just a few feet away. It wasn't until after the kids had cleared out that church staff discovered the broken cue on the floor and pulled up the security footage to figure out who was responsible. What they found left them stunned. The stick appeared to have broken without anyone ever touching it. Chris also mentions that this particular church has a long reputation for paranormal activity, with reported incidents stretching back more than 2 decades. So are we looking at the work of a hostile spirit, or some kind of aggressive supernatural presence? And of all the places something like this could happen, why a house of worship? Back in March 2012, a YouTuber by the name of Ryan Halsey posted a video to his channel claiming that he'd been home alone one afternoon while his parents were away, when he started picking up on a series of strange sounds coming from somewhere else inside the house. Not knowing what was behind the noise, Ryan pulled out his phone and hit record, carefully making his way through each room. For a good stretch of time, everything looks completely undisturbed.
What the This is what I mean. Crazy shit. So hello? Oh my. Oh. I swear to I seen something. Right. Yep.
Then, somewhere around the 35-second mark, what looks like a dark figure suddenly shoots up the staircase, sending Ryan into a panic as he shouts and immediately backs off. Whether it turns out to be a shadow, another person, or something else altogether, the whole thing is over in the blink of an eye, which makes it nearly impossible to say with any certainty what the camera actually captured. Naturally, not everybody buys it. There are viewers who feel the whole thing could have been set up from the start, while others argue that Ryan's reaction looks far too raw to be performed. The video itself is fittingly called WTF is in my home, and based on the way Ryan responds, it's pretty clear he wasn't prepared for whatever that was. So what do you think was moving up those stairs? A well-executed prank, an uninvited stranger, or something that's a whole lot harder to rationalize? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. The following security footage was recorded in the dead of night. 3 siblings are sound asleep in their shared bedroom when an unsettling noise jolts them awake, something that appears to be originating just beyond their window.
What was that, bro?
Nah, bro, chill, bro. Hold it down. Bro, are you serious? Germ. Bro, it's coming from my finger. Bro, but it's hot. No, germ. I don't care. No. No.
The brothers scrambled out of the room in a panic after experiencing what they could only describe as a blood-curdling shriek. 2 of the 3 later claimed they caught a glimpse of a horrifying face peering in through the glass. The family was quick to point out that this particular window sits on the 4th floor, which makes it nearly impossible to account for how anyone could have been out there. To this day, nobody has been able to explain what they actually encountered. The following clips all come from the same household, a Spanish-speaking woman who, at this point, seems less frightened by what's happening around her and more genuinely fed up with it. The activity has been building for a while, and she's started filming it, which is both brave and telling, because what she's been capturing is hard to dismiss. In the first clip, she's up late at night waiting for bread to rise when she starts hearing noises coming from the living room. She films herself, announces she's alone, walks through to show the empty room, and then turns back toward the kitchen. Watch.
Esperando a que leo del pan, pero se empezaron a escuchar ruidos en la parte del living. Y estoy sola. No hay nadie. Miren. Literalmente no. Qué pesado, hermano. Qué ganas de romper las bolas que tiene. No, es muy rompebolas.
The metal kitchen utensils, hanging from the rack above the counter, are swinging on their own. Spatulas, a large spoon, scissors, all of them clanking and hitting each other in a rhythmic pattern, with nobody near them. Her reaction isn't screaming. She sounds annoyed, like this has happened before, and she's running out of patience for it. That kind of exasperated tone is actually one of the more telling details here, because it suggests she's moved past the fear stage entirely. Many who followed cases like this point to that shift, from terror to frustration, as a sign that the activity has been going on long enough to feel almost routine. Some believe this type of poltergeist behavior, objects moving in the kitchen specifically, is connected to residual emotional energy, the idea that strong feelings tied to a space over time can build up and manifest physically. Others are more skeptical and would argue air pressure from an opened window or a distant vibration could set hanging utensils in motion, though explaining all of them swinging at once is a harder sell. Not long after, she and a companion return home one night from what she describes as a session, some kind of spiritual gathering, to find something waiting for them. Watch.
Llegamos a la sesión y en la pieza, la cual estaba apagada, está las luces LED prendidas y no sé si alcanzan a ver esa silueta, sombra, no sé qué carajo es, pero hay alguien parado en la pieza y estamos literalmente nosotros dos acá. Estamos los dos acá, no hay chance de que alguien esté en la pieza, porque no hay nadie en la casa. No me parece casualidad que lo esté haciendo después de salir de la sesión. Igual la chica me dijo que esto podía pasar. Miren, para que vean que de verdad no hay nadie, subimos lo más rápido que pudimos y no hay nadie en la casa. No, encima miren, el control está en la cama. No, qué bronca. Y ni siquiera lo puedo apagar.
Looking up at the building from the street, one window on an upper floor is glowing a solid red, and inside it, a dark head and shoulders silhouette is visible. But according to her, they're both standing outside on the street, and no one else has a key. There's another detail that many viewers missed on their first watch. Near the lower portion of the illuminated window, a much smaller figure, roughly the size of a young child or baby, appears to be present as well. When she switches on a light while continuing to film, the smaller shape briefly becomes reflected in the window, making it appear even more defined before disappearing into the glare. Whether those silhouettes were nothing more than reflections layered across the window, or whether someone, or something, was already inside the apartment waiting for them, is a question the footage never answers. In the next clip, she's in her bedroom during the day, starting to talk into her phone, when something off-camera catches her attention and she stops mid-sentence. Listen closely.
Buenas, ¿Qué hincha huevo? ¿Qué es, por favor? No, qué rompebola.
The bedroom door, which had been fully open, slams shut on its own with serious force, while she's standing in the next room watching it. No one is near it. Same house, same woman, same reaction. It's almost like she's dealing with a recurring presence that knows how to get on her nerves. That pattern of minor but deliberate disturbances, things chosen for their noise or their disruption, rather than their danger, lines up with what's often described as low-level intelligent haunting, activity that's reactive rather than random. The bedroom activity doesn't stop there. A static camera left on overnight in the same room, this time with another person in the bed, catches two separate things happening without anyone noticing. Watch closely.
Llegar como que ya con eso. No, me dice, mira, esto es algo serio, tengo que hacer. Bueno, adivina dónde terminó yendo.
Claro.
A mi casa, porque obviamente que al garchadero yo, mira, mis angelitas en el garchadero, no.
No pasó, no, está bien. Y ahora, bueno, como a mí no me puedo hacer rezos la media hora, a estar rezando.
Claro, en el garchadero.
Bueno, que es el espacio de mi casa, el espacio devocional.
No, pero escúchame, ¿por qué? El garchadero es así.
Sí, pero es comodísimo, tiene una cama, tiene todo lo que se necesita. Se puede acostar. Lo que no se puede.
If you focus on the mirror, what appears to be a dark figure briefly passes through the reflection before disappearing. No one in the room reacts, and there's nothing visible in the bedroom itself that clearly accounts for the movement. The mirror immediately became the center of the discussion. In many paranormal traditions, mirrors are believed to be more than ordinary household objects. Folklore from several cultures describes them as symbolic gateways or bridges through which spirits or negative entities can manifest. For that reason, some spiritual practitioners specifically advise against placing mirrors directly opposite or in front of a bed, believing they can encourage unwanted paranormal activity. Some even warn that simply covering a mirror isn't enough, claiming that whatever is attached to it could uncover the covering or continue to use it regardless. There is, however, no scientific evidence supporting these beliefs, and many people regard them purely as cultural folklore. But according to the person sharing these clips, that wasn't the only time something appeared in the room. On another night, the same bedroom is once again being recorded by a static camera while she sleeps peacefully, completely unaware that anything unusual is happening. Watch. A tall, dark, clearly defined head and shoulders silhouette appears in the glass of the bedroom window, leaning into view from the right edge of the pane and holding its position while the person in the bed sleeps completely unaware. It's darker than any ambient reflection in the room, and it has a shape that's unmistakably human. Whether that figure is a trick of light, someone outside, or something else entirely, What's harder to ignore is that across all of these clips, the same home, the same woman, the same building irritation, whatever is in that space appears to be sticking around. But the bigger question isn't just what that reflection is, it's whether any of this is going to stop. Now in this next clip, a woman in Florida is home alone on what looks like an ordinary afternoon, daylight streaming through the windows, her little dog Tula sitting calmly on the stairs, when she starts hearing something she can't explain. A music box melody, high-pitched and tinkling, playing clearly from somewhere inside the house. No one else is home. She picks up her phone and starts moving through the hallway, searching. Listen closely.
I'm home by myself. No, I don't think so. Tula, what was that? Oh, no. No, because I'm about to sit on the porch still calling it. Absolutely not.
The music plays for nearly half a minute before cutting off mid-melody, not fading, not winding down, just stopping. And that alone is unsettling. She checks every corner of the room, asks her dog Tula what it was, finds nothing that could account for it. No toy, no device, nothing. Music boxes aren't supposed to start on their own. And they're not supposed to stop like that either, mid-note, as if something decided it was done. Some viewers think a spirit was making itself known, drawn to the familiar comfort of a child's melody. Others suggest an attachment to the holiday decorations or the home itself. She doesn't wait around to find out. By the end of the clip, she's already unlocking the front door. So what do you think was playing that music, and why did it stop the second she got close enough to find it? Now in this next video, a couple say they've been hearing something that makes no sense at all. The sound of a baby crying coming from inside their apartment. Not outside, not through the walls, but from somewhere within their own home. It starts suddenly, continues for a few seconds, and then stops completely. And the strangest part is, it happens every single night. Watch this.
Hey. Yeah. Did you hear baby crying? No, I just opened the door. Oh, I thought that's why you opened the door. I heard it crying a long time in here.
According to the husband, Austin, the cry lasted longer that night than it ever had before. They checked every room and every corner, but found nothing. If it were a neighbor's baby, they would have recognized the direction, but each time, the sound feels contained, like it exists in their space and nowhere else. At first, the couple tried to see it as a positive sign. Some cultures believe hearing a phantom baby cry can symbolize incoming life, a spiritual sign that a child may soon enter the family, but others warn about much darker meanings. In paranormal folklore, disembodied crying especially of infants, is often associated with entities that mimic vulnerability to draw attention. Spirits that imitate babies are believed to trigger instinctive emotional responses, lowering fear and making people more receptive to their presence. There's also the unsettling connection to stories like La Llorona, an entity known for using the sound of crying children to lure people closer. But what unsettles this couple the most isn't just the crying, it's the fact that it happens at the same time, every single night. So should they see it as a hopeful sign or a warning? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one. Now in this next clip, two girls, friends by the sound of it, are messing around in a bedroom late at night, trying to climb onto the top bunk the hard way, one standing on the other's shoulders. It's the kind of silly, chaotic moment that gets filmed because it's funny, nothing more. One of them falls, they both end up on the floor in hysterics, and the girl in the red shirt is laughing so hard she can barely breathe. According to her, the video was posted to Facebook as a funny clip and sat there for weeks before anyone noticed anything. Then someone in the comments asked a question that stopped her cold. Watch. Right there, a pale, slender hand with noticeably long fingers reaches out from behind her left shoulder, grips the lower rail of the bunk bed, and then pulls back out of sight. Neither girl reacts. They couldn't have. According to her, neither of them even knew it was there until someone pointed it out weeks later. If you slow it down and watch the moment carefully, there's no angle that puts either girl's arm in that position. Her own left hand is clearly visible and accounted for. Some viewers think it's a third person just out of frame, though the room and camera angle make that difficult to explain. Others go somewhere darker entirely, pointing to the fact that just before the hand appears, she'd been yelling, "Help me," over and over, and something, it seems, may have answered. The following video was recorded by a man who had recently moved into an old house built back in 1912, a property with enough history behind it to already make him uneasy before anything strange even started happening. According to him, the previous tenant had suddenly left without much explanation, and after settling in, he began experiencing odd disturbances throughout the house that pushed him into researching the property's past. During a late-night spirit box session, one word reportedly kept coming through over and over again: fire. After digging deeper, he discovered that the basement of the house had been the site of an accidental fire sometime around 1965, a detail that suddenly made the atmosphere in the home feel a lot heavier. Then one night, while standing in a lit room looking down a dark hallway, he caught this on camera. Watch.
Look, it's my hand.
At the far end of the hallway, a guitar begins to sway on its own, slowly at first, before the movement starts growing stronger. Skeptics pointed toward possible drafts or airflow as the most logical explanation. But what unsettled viewers was how the motion seemed to build, almost like something unseen kept interacting with it. Paranormal theories surrounding old homes often connect fires to lingering energy, especially when the event was sudden or traumatic. Some believe places marked by tragedy can hold on to fragments of that moment for decades, replaying themselves through unexplained sounds, movement, or disturbances tied to certain parts of the house. And considering the repeated mention of fire during the spirit box session, Many viewers think whatever is in that hallway may be connected to what happened in the basement all those years ago. Whatever started the movement, he never found the source. In this next clip, someone is walking through a property called the Green Manor, an old house with narrow winding staircases, dark reddish walls, a library with built-in shelves, and an upstairs room lined with antique dolls. And from the moment they point the camera at a teal wooden door in the hallway, something feels off. The door is slightly ajar, and the vintage oval doorknob on its brass backplate just sits there, still and quiet, the way doorknobs are supposed to. But then it starts to move. Watch. The knob jiggles, turns clockwise, and a sharp metallic click rings out as the latch fully disengages and the door swings open on its own. Nobody's on the other side. The person filming then pushes through, climbs the creaking staircase, and when they reach the top, they pan into a side room where a full church pew is lined end to end with at least a dozen porcelain dolls just sitting there, staring. Some people who've seen this footage think the doorknob moment is consistent with what's sometimes called a residual haunting, the idea that a location can essentially record repeated actions, like opening a door, and replay them without any conscious intent behind them. Others think something at the Green Manor is far more aware than that, pointing to the way the latch fully releases, a deliberate mechanical sequence, not just a rattle. Whether it's residual energy or something with intention, you be the judge. In this next clip, a family arrives at what looks like a spacious hotel suite. A large, well-lit room with high vaulted ceilings, a stone fireplace, a loft area, and a balcony with plenty of natural light coming through. Nothing about the space looks threatening, but the moment they reach the doorway of room 24, something happens that none of them were prepared for. Watch.
Come on, Mama.
Oh, she don't like this one. Wasn't expecting that. Dang, Big Mama. Is there something in here? We rebuke it, Kai Kai. We rebuke it. She said, Yeah. Yeah. It's shit on the toilet.
This where you and Dad sleeping?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
What?
Close it. I'll pull out bed. This is so nice.
You welcome. I hope y'all like it. I hope y'all got some energy because we're gonna be up all night.
She immediately starts screaming, no, crying loudly, and pulling away from the room, and she doesn't stop for the entire clip. What makes this so hard to dismiss is that the girl didn't calm down. There's a belief, fairly common in paranormal communities, that young children, especially toddlers, are far more sensitive to presence than adults because they haven't yet learned to rationalize away what they're feeling. You decide what that little girl was sensing at that doorway. Now in this next clip, a man is out in his shed during the day working on tools when he notices something that stops him cold. A sound coming from a dark attic space above a storage closet he says he's never once been up into. He grabs his phone and starts filming himself, panning the camera around the cluttered shed before pulling open a narrow closet door to show what's inside. Listen closely.
Me or not, I don't care, but listen to this. I'm out in the shed working on tools. Listen. Dude, I swear to God, there's something up in this attic, man. I'm not getting up in here and shit. Do you hear that? Dude, oh my God, bro. Oh my God, man. There's something in this neighborhood, dude. Oh my God. Dude, I don't know what to do in a situation like this. Do you hear this shit, man? This thing was built before I bought this house, man. I've never gone up here one time. What the fuck was that, man? There's stuff left from the previous owner. Oh my God, dude. Oh.
If you listen closely, you'll hear a baby crying, and it happens not once but multiple times, getting clearer and closer each time. The man's reactions are hard to fake. He slams the door, shouts, opens it again, keeps asking if you can hear it too. Then, when he finally works up the nerve to climb the ladder and hold the camera up into that dark space, the last sound he catches, right before the camera drops, is a clean, unmistakable cry of a baby coming from somewhere deep in that darkness. Some viewers think he has squatters in there, which, honestly, isn't impossible. Whatever was up there, he didn't stick around long enough to find out. So what do you think was making that sound? Now in this next clip, a paranormal investigator from Lakeshore Paranormal is in the basement of an old property at night, standing beneath a single bare bulb that cuts harsh shadows across the cinder block walls and exposed ceiling joists. He's got a spirit box scanning in one hand and what appears to be a detection device in the other, the constant static of the scanner cycling through frequencies filling the silence around him. He glances around the space, listening, waiting. Watch.
Not gonna leave until you give me a sign.
Movement back there. Shadow. Shadow like came out from the where the heater is and went back the other way. I got it on video. You can see it. It was short. It was just like a shadow that came out from there.
Are you down here?
A shadow moved from right to left. What immediately sparked debate online was the way the figure seemed to move with shape and direction, not like a flicker of light or camera distortion, but like something physically crossing. Some viewers argued it could simply be a reflection caused by someone walking past a nearby window, but according to the investigators, they were completely alone on the property that night, with no one else inside or outside the building during the investigation. So if no one else was on that property that night, then what exactly walked behind him? Now, in this next clip, someone is moving through a pitch-black house in the middle of the night, using nothing but a flashlight to cut through the darkness ahead of him. According to him, before he even started recording, he had already been hearing strange noises somewhere deeper inside the house, sounds unusual enough that he decided to grab his camera and trace where they were coming from. At first, he expected to find something simple, maybe a window left open, or an animal moving around inside the walls. But instead, he found this. Watch.
Right. Second date. It's been okay so far, but... What? This is what I mean. Crazy shit. Is it like... Hello? Oh my... Oh shit. Phone's upstairs. Oh my... I'm leaving lights on. Look at this. I swear to... Right. Oh shit. Right. I need to go...
The lights suddenly begin flickering violently, throwing unstable flashes across the hallway, and just as he turns toward the staircase, something can be seen moving on the stairs, a dark shape shifting in the shadows before disappearing again. Some viewers believe the flickering lights could point toward electrical issues in an older property, but others focused entirely on the figure near the staircase, especially because in many old traditions, spirits or entities were said to linger near staircases because they symbolized movement between worlds, especially in darkened homes where visibility is limited and the human mind struggles to fully process shapes in shadow. So what do you think was waiting at the top of those stairs? The following video was recorded inside a home that's over 100 years old, using an old camera set up by a young man who was home alone and had noticed something he couldn't explain. Every time he left the room to vacuum, he'd come back and find the same bifold closet door standing wide open. No one else in the house, no obvious draft, nothing to account for it. So instead of just closing it again and moving on, he propped the camera on the floor, pointed it at the door, and went back to his vacuuming. The clip is silent, and that silence is part of what makes it so unsettling. Watch. The right panel of that bifold door begins to move, slowly, steadily, swinging open at a pace that feels almost deliberate, folding back until the closet is fully exposed. No one enters the frame. There's no rush of air, no person, no visible string or mechanism. If you watch the door's movement carefully, you'll notice it doesn't jerk or stutter the way a draft might cause. It moves with a kind of even, unhurried intention that's harder to dismiss. Some viewers familiar with residual haunting theory think older homes can develop patterns of repeated activity tied to whatever energy accumulated there over decades. But you be the judge. Now in this next clip, a man had been sitting alone at his kitchen table, reading from the Bible, not casually, but deliberately, the way someone does when they're trying to hold something back. He had a rosary laid out in front of him, a crucifix, and a small bottle of holy water. He says he picks up regularly from his local Catholic church. He mentions to the camera that he isn't feeling well, and before he starts reading, he anoints his forehead with the holy water and makes the sign of the cross. There's a weight to how he's going through these steps. Like a ritual, he's performed enough times that it's become routine rather than ceremonial. He settles in and begins reading aloud from Psalms 37, verses 3 through 11. Scripture about trust, about dwelling safely, about what faith is supposed to protect you from. But midway through the reading, something happened. Watch.
Inherit the earth. For yet a little while, and the wicked should be no more. Indeed, you will. Gosh! Holy. Bro. That just closed. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Any demon in my office, evacuate now. Look. That's my magic hat. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. And my attic is closed. See? Huh. And it literally dropped my hat. That is crazy. You see, guys? This is what I gotta go through daily. Like literally, daily I gotta go through this crap. I'm so fed up with it.
The door in the background slams shut with a sharp, violent bang. What's harder to dismiss is what he finds on the other side. A baseball cap lying face down on the floor just inside the doorway, which he claims was not there before. He picks it up, shows the camera the front, and says the entity dropped it. He calls his attic door out specifically, showing it's secured with multiple slide locks, as if that detail is meant to explain something he doesn't want to say out loud. He ends the clip looking straight into the camera, exhausted, and says this is what he goes through daily. For those familiar with spiritual warfare theology, a violent physical reaction during scripture reading is considered significant. It's interpreted not as random haunting activity, but as direct interference, a presence responding to being named. So what was in that room with him? The following video was recorded by a family stepping into their new house for the very first time. The father is holding the camera, slowly documenting their first walk through the home as the rest of the family heads inside ahead of him. Everything appeared perfectly ordinary until viewers noticed something that was out of place. Watch.
Okay. Got everybody here. Heading on into the new house for the first time. They say go. Yeah. See how scary? It's kind of scary, actually. Oh, look at all this stuff. Dollhouse for you, Salo. There you go. Okay. This kitchen's pretty nice.
Ready? I'm ready to go away with Mom.
Go close the door.
If you focus on the mirror by your right, you'll notice what looks like a dark, human-shaped shadow standing directly behind him. The unsettling part is that it can't be one of his daughters. By the time the reflection appears, both girls have already walked past the mirror and are standing farther inside the house. There shouldn't be anyone behind him. But what many viewers found even more disturbing wasn't the shadow. It was the youngest girl. Without anyone prompting her, she repeatedly says, "Scary," over and over again. Some dismissed it as exactly what children do in unfamiliar places. New houses can feel intimidating, especially when they're empty, dimly lit, and full of echoes. Others believe moments like this deserve a closer look. As for the mirror itself, mirrors have long occupied a unique place in supernatural folklore. Some traditions describe them as symbolic thresholds or reflective surfaces where unexplained figures are more likely to appear, while others view them simply as objects capable of creating convincing visual illusions under low lighting. Whether the shadow was a trick of perspective, a reflection the family didn't notice, or something that greeted them before they even unpacked. One detail remains difficult to ignore. Before anyone mentioned seeing a figure, the little girl had already decided there was something about that house she didn't like. The following video was recorded by a man living in what can only be described as a house full of unsettling objects. Mannequins in the hallway, antique dolls, vintage horror movie posters, and at the center of it all, a Victorian dollhouse sitting in his sister's room that he says he genuinely cannot bring himself to look at for too long. He walks through the space at night, narrating as he goes, and you can hear in his voice that this isn't performance, it's discomfort. He's been hearing tapping sounds late at night, specifically when he passes that room on the way to the bathroom, and according to him, the sound stops the moment he enters, except for one night about 3 nights prior, when it kept going. He walked in, tried to find the source, and traced it directly to the dollhouse itself. Watch.
Okay, so the other thing that really creeps me out, that I do not like, but I will show you guys, is in my sister's old room, or I guess still room. Dollhouse. I don't know how to explain it. The only thing I can say that has happened with it is sometimes when I walk by, or like I go, the bathroom's back there, and I walk through and I hear like tapping coming from this room. It's like it's like yeah, it's like I know it's coming from like this room, and so I come in here and then it usually stops, except for like maybe 3 nights ago, like the tapping kept happening, and I came over and I was trying to figure out like where it was coming from, but it was coming from this dollhouse and I don't know where, and it hasn't done it since. Like, why is it so intricate? It's like, I don't know. Freaks me out. I'm not showing you guys this again, so take one last look. Yeah. Fuck that thing.
Toward the end of the recording, some viewers also claimed they could hear what sounded like a faint young girl's voice buried beneath the audio. Whether it's genuine audio pareidolia or simply background noise is impossible to say, but combined with the tapping, it only added to the unease. Some viewers also pointed to the collection of dolls visible throughout the house. In parts of West Africa and the Caribbean, handcrafted dolls have historically been associated, rightly or wrongly, with folk magic and spiritual practices. While most are simply decorative or cultural artifacts, their appearance often fuels speculation whenever they're seen alongside alleged paranormal activity. But according to the family, the dollhouse wasn't the only thing making them uneasy. Watch.
Grandson, this is my daughter, Lady Mary Talker.
Oh, everyone's going.
You, as the rest of us, are in Riviera. But I hope you enjoy yourself. I went over to America 10 years ago to try my luck, and I've been there ever since. They call us the Hollywood Ride.
But you never stops playing music. You know that.
Last time I was there.
Heavy footsteps echo from somewhere inside the house, the kind of impact that sounds as though someone has just put their full weight onto a wooden floor. But there's no visible cause. Nothing falls, nothing moves, nothing in the wide-angle security footage gives her or anyone watching any kind of answer. So what exactly hit that hard? From inside a house, with no one else apparently there? You decide. Now in this next clip, a man who works at what appears to be an industrial facility decided to stay late one night. Not because he had to, but because something about the place kept pulling him back. He'd already noticed things before this recording. His radio had been jumping with static, which he says is usually a sign that something is close, and the temperature in the break room had dropped noticeably enough to stop him in his tracks. He's wearing work gloves, holding his camera, and his voice is raspy and low as he moves through a long fluorescent-lit hallway and into one of the facility's break rooms, a cluttered industrial space with metal lockers, stainless steel countertops, and trash bags piled against the walls. He admits out loud that he's nervous. He can feel something in there with him, and then he notices his Apple Watch.
Whoa. Shit. Just saw my Apple move. Just saw him move. Oh. What do you want? Who are you? Ooh. What does this mean? What do you want? Why are you playing games? Why did you attack me the other day? What do you want?
First the apple, then the cup begins moving by itself, while he continues trying to communicate with whatever he believes is around him. To paranormal investigators, this sequence is particularly intriguing because the movement appears to follow direct interaction. In many alleged haunting cases, investigators believe that attempting communication can sometimes trigger a response, especially if the reported activity is associated with an intelligent haunting rather than a residual one. Objects moving shortly after questions are asked are often interpreted as attempts at non-verbal communication, with some researchers suggesting that small, lightweight items are easier for an alleged entity to manipulate than larger objects. Another detail, often mentioned in paranormal circles, is the combination of experiences leading up to the movements. Sudden cold spots, unexplained radio interference, and an overwhelming feeling of being watched are among the most commonly reported claims preceding alleged physical manifestations, although none have been scientifically shown to indicate paranormal activity. But viewers who believe something unusual happened focus on one thing. The apple moves, he starts talking, then the cup moves too. Whether that was a coincidence or something responding to the conversation is exactly what keeps this clip open to debate. This next video comes from a man who says something got into his shed while he was away, and whatever it was, it didn't just leave quietly. He's been filming himself outside at night, shaky camera pointed upward into dark tree branches, voice already strained before he's even made it through the door. According to him, he'd noticed something off when he first pulled up, and by the time he walked inside, what he found had him spiraling. Watch. The CCTV footage shows the shed door closed. Then, across a 5-second gap in the recording, it's sitting open by several inches with nothing on camera to explain it. No figure, no gust, no visible contact. And when he finally walks in and turns the light on, the shed is ransacked. Tools, clothing, and a power sander thrown into disorder. But what frightened him most wasn't the mess. It was what happened when he went back inside for a closer look. Watch. If you look closely, you'll notice what appears to be a pale face peering from inside the shed. Some viewers dismissed it as pareidolia, the brain's tendency to see faces in random shapes, especially in dark, cluttered environments. Others weren't convinced. Across paranormal folklore, one of the most commonly reported experiences is the peeking apparition, an alleged entity that reveals only part of its face from behind a doorway, corner, or object before disappearing again. Paranormal researchers often describe these brief appearances as observational behavior, claiming the figure seems more interested in watching than interacting directly. Whether that's what this camera captured, or whether the face is nothing more than shadow and coincidence. One unsettling question remains: if something really was hiding inside that shed, what was it waiting for him to do next? This next video was recorded by a man filming from what appears to be his backyard at night, a dark, scrub-covered hillside stretching out in front of him. And from the very beginning, something on that hillside has already caught his attention. He's been insisting that whatever this is, it's been following him, not just to one location, but everywhere he goes. And standing there in the dark, camera in hand, you can hear in his voice that he's well past the point of brushing it off. Watch.
I can't make this shit up. I can't make this shit up, bro. What the I can't make this shit up, bro. I can't make this shit up, bro. What the is that? Jesus Christ, no. Jesus Christ, no. What? I can't make this shit up, bro.
Out on that hillside, a bright glowing orb sits completely still at first, white-yellow on the outside, but with a distinct purple or violet core pulsing inside it. As he zooms in, that inner light shifts shape, momentarily forming something almost structured, almost like a letter or symbol, before the whole thing begins sliding horizontally to the left, leaving a faint trail behind it. And then, just like that, it vanishes. The hillside goes dark. His reaction says everything, stunned silence, then a rising panic he can barely keep together. Some viewers immediately thought of ball lightning, a rare atmospheric phenomenon that can produce glowing, drifting orbs. But ball lightning doesn't typically hold a distinct internal color or leave shaped impressions. Others pointed to UAP sightings, noting that the pulsing purple core and horizontal drift are consistent with characteristics reported in several well-documented cases. What do you think was on that hillside? This next video was recorded at around 11:30 at night by a woman who had just gotten home and noticed something immediately off. Her bathroom light was on inside the house, even though she was almost certain she'd left it off. She went in, switched it off herself, watched some TV, and thought nothing more of it. Then she stepped outside to check the mail. That's when she stopped. Something made her turn back toward the house and pull out her phone. Watch.
Need to show you what's actually happening right now. Like, this is so creepy. I have no idea. Oh, it stopped. It's been... Like, nobody is in my house, and that should not be happening. And no one believes me when I tell them this kind of stuff.
The bathroom window, visible from the driveway, flickers on, then off, then on again, then dark, with no one inside operating the switch. She's standing right there in the driveway, in the pitch black, telling you directly, nobody is home, and that light should not be doing that. But many viewers noticed something even stranger than the light itself. If you look closely at the window, there appears to be the faint outline of what looks like a young girl standing motionless, facing directly toward the woman filming. The shape doesn't seem to move. It simply watches. Reports of flickering lights are among the most commonly described experiences in alleged hauntings, though faulty wiring, loose switches, and electrical fluctuations remain far more common explanations. The apparent figure in the window has sparked even more debate. Some believe it's nothing more than reflections on the glass or pareidolia, the brain interpreting shadows and patterns as a human face. Others compare it to reports of window watchers, a recurring motif in paranormal accounts where an unexplained figure is said to silently observe people from inside a home without ever approaching. Whether rooted in folklore or coincidence, these reports often describe the figure as remaining perfectly still, creating the unsettling impression that it's watching rather than trying to be seen. So was the flickering light simply an electrical fault? Did the changing light create the illusion of a face? Or was someone or something standing behind that window after all? That's the question this footage leaves unanswered. The following clips come from what appears to be an ongoing series of recordings made inside the same home, a lived-in apartment with children's drawings on the walls, toys scattered on the floor, and a security camera running through the night. According to the person behind the camera, the activity has been escalating across multiple incidents, and he's been documenting each one. In the first clip, he's decided to investigate a disturbance in the dark, despite his wife warning him not to. He gets out of bed, moves through the house with his phone as a light source, checks a wardrobe, finds nothing out of the ordinary, but the security camera feed running in the corner of the frame tells a different story. Watch.
Shh. Let me just check. Please stop.
According to the family, the knocking had become so common that they eventually started speaking to whatever was causing it. At one point, the husband reportedly asked it politely to stop. Instead of quieting down, the knocking grew louder and more aggressive, leading some viewers to speculate that whatever was behind the sounds seemed to react to being acknowledged. Another night, the disturbances returned. Once again, he woke up to a strange noise and left bed to investigate, expecting another false alarm. Instead, he got the scare of his life. Watch.
started again. Yalla, go to sleep now. Don't get up. It's almost the same time.
What's harder to shake is the pattern. 2 separate nights, and now they've become so used to it, they even have a name for whatever's been in this house. They call it Jerry. And now the 5-year-old son has started asking about Jerry by name. Listen closely.
Oh my god. Ajay, क्या है ये? It's just near the door.
Daddy, what is it?
Nothing, but I'll just go to sleep now, okay?
Is that Jerry?
Shh. I don't know. Just be quiet now.
Okay.
Please, I beg you. मत जा. Don't go. Listen to me.
It's okay. Just be quiet.
The scratching is unmistakable, a series of quick taps and scrapes, repeating with that uneven rhythm that's genuinely difficult to attribute to pipes or settling walls. And then the moment the father gets up to check, it stops completely. That detail alone is what gets under people's skin, because an accidental sound doesn't respond to presence. A named entity that a child has come to know casually, that scratches at a door and goes quiet the second someone moves toward it. That's a different kind of unsettling entirely. The 4th clip is silent again, and it documents something more subtle. A lamp with a black and white geometric pattern, filmed on the static security camera in the early hours of the morning, turning on and off by itself in an empty room. Watch.
I just have no words. Let me just show you the video itself. Okay.
When he went back into the room, viewers noticed what appears to be a shadowy figure moving behind him, following his path through the room before disappearing from sight. And then comes what may be the most compelling footage of all. The most extensive footage in this set captures what may be the most direct evidence yet. He's woken up in the night again, this time by the sound of the kitchen tap running. He gets up, finds the tap on, turns it off, and almost immediately hears water running again. The lights in the hallway won't turn on. He notices a child's red scooter near the door that he doesn't remember being there before he slept. And briefly, along a white wall, a faint wispy anomaly rises upward and disappears. Watch.
It's 5 minutes early today. Okay.
The security camera footage recorded earlier that same night fills in what the first-person view couldn't capture. A dark, translucent shadow figure moves across the living room, pushing the scooter, then walks away as the scooter continues rolling on its own. The figure reappears later, crossing from the hallway into the kitchen, and moments after it enters that space, the sound of the tap turning on begins. That sequence, the figure entering the kitchen, followed immediately by the water, is what a lot of viewers find most difficult to rationalize away. Some believe shadow figures of this kind represent a conscious presence, something with intent rather than residual energy, a distinction that matters because intent implies awareness of the people living there. Others point to the misplaced scooter, the unresponsive light switches, the child who already knows the ghost's name, and suggest that whatever is in this apartment has been making itself comfortable for a while. The family seems to know it, The 5-year-old isn't even scared yet, and that might be the most unnerving detail across all of these clips. Not the blurs, not the lamp, not the shadow pushing a toy across the floor, but the fact that a child has simply accepted it as part of home. Whether this is one presence or several, whether Jerry is a name given to something ancient or something entirely modern, the footage keeps coming, and whatever is in that apartment doesn't appear to be going anywhere. The following clips were both recorded inside what appears to be a large warehouse store, the kind of place that feels completely different after hours, when the shelves are still stocked, but every aisle is empty, and the only sound is the hum of the lights overhead. The man filming had been alone, locked inside a small monitoring room, watching security cameras, when he started hearing something he couldn't explain. He describes it in Spanish, something scratching the walls, coming from somewhere nearby. He insists he doesn't want these things to happen, which tells you this isn't the first time something's felt off in this building. Watch closely.
Raza, estaba yo aquí monitoreando las cámaras en un cuarto encerrado y se escuchó como si alguien estuviera rascando la pared. Ya, no, de verdad, ya no quiero que pasen estas cosas. ¿Qué fue eso? ¿Qué cojones? ¿Qué mierda fue eso?
Two sounds hit him in quick succession, a loud, forceful scraping or thudding against the wall, enough to jolt the camera, and then a sharp knock directly on the metal door. He opens it and steps out into the service corridor, then into the main store, clearly shaken, checking the restroom, checking the hallway, and finding nothing, no one. That alone is unsettling. Some viewers think the sounds are consistent with what's sometimes described as poltergeist activity, not a ghost in the traditional sense, but an energy force said to interact physically with its environment, making contact through noise and impact, rather than appearing visually. Skeptics argue it could be pipes, settling metal, or an animal in the walls, but the knock on the door is harder to dismiss, because it's rhythmic, deliberate, and comes from exactly the right height. He still doesn't have an answer when the second incident happens. This time he's out in the store aisles, pushing his own cart, voice hushed, breathing audible, saying it feels like someone is watching him. Watch.
No sé qué está pasando. Realmente se escuchan ruidos a lo lejos. Está pasando algo muy extraño, no sé qué está pasando. Se siente como si alguien me estuviera observando. No lo sé. No mames.
An empty green shopping cart, sitting completely still in the middle of an aisle stocked with bottled beverages, suddenly rolls forward and to the right on its own, quick, a few feet, then stops. He reacts immediately with a loud, genuine exclamation of shock, and the sound of his own cart wheels rolling fast on the concrete tells you he didn't stick around. What makes this harder to explain is that both events happened in the same building, within what seems like the same shift. Scratching and knocking in the locked room, then a cart moving by itself in an empty aisle. Two separate incidents, two separate forms of physical interaction, and no one else in the building. So what exactly is in that store? This next clip comes from a night investigation inside the ruins of St. Mary's Church in Colston Bassett, Nottinghamshire, a site that traces its origins back to the 12th century and has drawn paranormal investigators for decades, some of whom claim to have encountered demonic activity within its crumbling stone walls. The team is moving through the interior using a handheld camera on night vision, panning slowly across the ancient stonework when something outside catches the frame. Watch.
Just the same as what it says at the front.
In the right-hand section of a large window opening divided by a central stone pillar, a dark vertical shape appears, moving quickly from right to left, passing behind the pillar and then simply vanishing before it clears the other side. The team insists all members were accounted for at the time. Some viewers think it's residual energy, the kind of repeating imprint that old religious sites are said to hold. Others believe it's something more aware, something that knew the camera was pointed at that window. Either way, it doesn't wait around to be identified. What exactly passed through that window frame? The following videos were captured by a woman who's been documenting what she calls her poltergeist diaries, a series of increasingly unsettling encounters happening at her workplace, an office she now refers to as anything but ordinary. She'd been sharing updates with her followers, building a record of small, creeping strangeness, and in this first clip, she's filming late, alone, moving through the building with her phone out when she notices something down the hallway near the break room. Watch.
So, y'all have been following my polter diaries here lately. So I'm pretty sure there's something standing in the doorway to the break room. Am I crazy? Or is that somebody standing there? Do y'all see that?
The camera peers around the edge of a dark, reflective surface and catches a tall, thin shape standing completely still at the far end of the dimly lit hallway, and her reaction says everything. Her voice drops from calm narration to a terrified whisper before she lets out a raw, piercing scream and the footage cuts off. Whether that shape was a chair, a pedestal, or something else entirely, her scream wasn't performed. Some viewers insisted it was just office furniture catching the light wrong, while others pointed out that the object doesn't have the softened edges or visible legs you'd expect from a chair. It just stands there, occupying the frame like it belongs. That's what makes it hard to dismiss. Not long after that clip circulated, followers began asking whether the lights in that hallway were connected to anything, wondering if she'd somehow triggered them herself. She came back with a direct answer. Watch.
So, since y'all thought I was doing the lights, let me show you these. This one does nothing. This one turns on this extra light. So,
she flips both switches on the wall, one by one, demonstrating clearly that neither controls the bright stationary light glowing in the dark hallway behind her. The fluorescent ceiling lights respond to the second switch, but that orb-like light sits untouched, unchanging, against the dark blue wall. Some viewers immediately suggested it was a security light or an exit sign on a separate circuit. Others weren't convinced, pointing out that the light's intensity and position don't match anything typically mounted in an office corridor, and that she didn't seem to know what it was either, ending the clip with a flat, exhausted "so," as if the demonstration raised more questions than it answered. She'd also mentioned she'd stopped working alone in that building after everything that happened, which brings us to her next update. She returned to the office with a co-worker, hoping the company would make whatever was happening stop. Everything had been quiet. Watch.
hey guys, this is just an update to let you all know that I'm okay. I'm back at work today, but I'm no longer working by myself. I have someone here with me. Everything's been fine so far. We haven't had anything today, so and here we go. What was that? What? It came from the hallway. Oh my god. No. Oh my god.
Right in the middle of her calm update, mid-sentence in fact, an explosively loud bang erupts from the hallway, violent and metallic, and both women react instantly. She moves toward the doorway and peers down the long, empty, brightly lit corridor. Nothing, no one, no visible source for a sound that loud. Two people heard the same thing, and neither of them could explain it. Some researchers who study poltergeist activity describe this kind of escalation, from visual anomalies to unexplained sounds, as a pattern of intensifying engagement, as though whatever presence exists in a space begins responding more forcefully when it feels observed. What would you do if the hallway you just cleared came back that loud?